Who is Master Tengen? Why is she important to the story? Why does Kenjaku want to merge all of Japan with her? And what's Tengen's agenda in Jujutsu Kaisen? We're going to answer all those questions, but before we do that, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe. Alright, now let's get into who is Master Tengen. To get it out of the way, Master Tengen is one of the oldest sorcerers in Jujutsu Kaisen history. I'm talking older than Sukuna, older than Kenjaku, older than anybody. And the reason for that is because of her cursed technique. So her cursed technique is immortality, but it doesn't work the way that you might think it works. So immortality allows Master Tengen to survive, to live, to thrive year after year without ever dying. However, her body still continues to decay. Her body ages. Her body does not stay young forever, but her body does stay younger than the average body. So say like you and I, we might live to say 100, right? That's awesome. Great. Not really, because you're kind of old and difficult to do things. But anyways, she can live up to 500 years without needing a new body. And the reason for that, sorcery, Jujutsu Kaisen sorcery. So her curse technique allowing her body to survive a little bit longer than the average body makes sense to you and me. If you think it's something else, go ahead and put that in the comments. But I would like to think that immortality doesn't just keep her alive, it prevents her body from aging at such a fast pace. Now, that being said, she does have to pull a Orochimaru every now and then. And it's every 500 years roughly that she has to do this, but she has to take somebody specific. She can't just take anybody, and she has to make them a new host. So she has to take their body, she has to absorb them, and then she is refreshed. She now has a new body where she could do another 500 years in that body. And that person's consciousness, it's pretty much like Orochimaru. It's pretty much that they're aware, they're conscious, she could hear them, but they also cannot die really, so their consciousness doesn't really continue going on, like evolving, learn new things, all that. So it's horrible for the actual person who was absorbed. However, it started becoming like a tradition to oh, it's a great like honor to give yourself to Master Tengen, so you know it's a good thing, right? And we saw that the current Star Plasma Vessel at the start of season 2 was, you know, all for it because of that was what was instilled in her from a young age. However, and they never say what age these star plasma vessels are identified. So like, are you identified at the age of 4 or 5, you know, like 6 maybe, when your curse technique basically awakens? Like around that age, I would assume, is when they know, hey, you're a star plasma vessel, we need you. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get back on track. So Tengen is the reason that Jujutsu sorcery is being taught in the modern age, because Tengen, with all her knowledge of Jujutsu sorcery, was able to pass that on to other people to educate their students. And so modern era, here we are, Jujutsu sorcery is a common practice, not well-known practice, like you and I wouldn't know about it as ordinary citizens, but there is a society for sorcerers. So there are schools for sorcerers, there are career paths for sorcerers. So all that exists thanks to Tengen. She is actually one of the smartest people in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. Unfortunately, she is such a impactful person that people couldn't help but form cults around her as like some type of god. So, you know, religion took over, and these cults said, you know, this is our god and we're gonna worship Tengen, so we have to allow Tengen to evolve. We have to allow Tengen to become more. You know, we know what she needs, it's just that she's fighting it. So we have to make sure that the star plasma vessel never reaches her. And I said star plasma vessel for the first time because that is the specific person that needs to merge with Tengen every 500 years. So you already know about the cult if you watch the start of season 2, but did you know that Tengen resides in the tombs of the Star Corridor, and it's referred to that because Tengen's other name is the Star. Now, does Master Tengen need to stay in the tombs of the Star Corridor because she has such a master of Jujutsu sorcery and she has control of all the barriers around Japan, keeping all that cursed energy and the cursed spirits trapped in Japan so it doesn't spread to the rest of the world? Maybe. It's kind of like how Jedi cannot use their Force Ghosts in a location that doesn't have a Jedi burial in the area because they need that specific occurrence to happen in that area so that they can manifest their powers, right? Because it's harder to manifest your powers like that, and unless you have specific factors playing a role in it. And because the shrine, the center of all the barriers, is located in the tombs of the Star Corridor, then maybe it is a requirement for Tengen to stay there in order to manifest all these barriers and control them and amplify other people's barriers. Now, some of you may be wondering why Master Tengen looks the way that she looks. Why doesn't she look the way that she originally looked at the start of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is this way? Now she looks like this. So the reason for it isn't because of immortality. It's not directly because of it. It's indirectly because of immortality. See, Master Tengen evolved. And I know, bad thing, right? It's what we said that we didn't want to happen. However, the current Star Plasma Vessel did not merge with Master Tengen. And the alternate Star Plasma Vessel, that being Yuki, of course, was not going to merge with Master Tengen. First off, I don't think there was a sorcerer at that time because I don't think that Gojo was able to compete with Yuki at that time until he got his domain expansion and until he became a larger threat to everybody, basically. So I don't think there was somebody who could have forced Yuki into becoming the Star Plasma Vessel to avoid the evolution of Tengen. So Tengen ultimately did evolve thanks to Toji meddling in the affairs of a Star Plasma Vessel. So just to let you guys know, the Star Plasma Vessel is actually tied to the Six Eyes, which are both tied to Tengen. So every 500 years, there will be a Six Eyes user, there will be a Star Plasma Vessel, and there will be Master Tengen, unless somebody interferes in all of those affairs. And since Toji, a Heavenly Restriction user, interfered, those Heavenly Restriction users are not tied to sorcery. They're not tied to Jujutsu Curse Energy, so they can do things that can interrupt fate and other people can't. So Kenjaku actually eliminated both two Six Eyes users and I believe 2 Star Plasma Vessel users, and still Master Tengen was able to merge with a Star Plasma Vessel because a third was born to assist with the merging of Master Tengen and a Star Plasma Vessel. Master Tengen evolving, the merging did not occur for her and the Star Plasma Vessel, and thus her body aged to what it looks like now. So I don't know why she has 4 eyes. I don't know if the statement that she said that, hey, you would look like me if you lived for 500 years. I don't know if that's true. I mean, that's a vicious evolution, but it could be, right? It could be. It's, at the end of the day, fiction. Anything could happen. But why didn't Master Tengen lose her sense of self, right? Because if she evolves, it was told to us that she would lose her sense of self. It was told to us that she has control of all the barriers, so she could even become an enemy to all Jujutsu sorcerers, right? So why didn't she? Is it because she did something specific? Yeah, she actually used a barrier technique because she is the unrivaled master of barrier techniques. There's absolutely nobody who can rival her in barrier techniques. The closest person, of course, being Kenjaku, but that's also because he's lived for so long that he's had the time to put into Jujutsu sorcery so that he could study and master all forms of barrier techniques, all forms of cursed energy manipulation, his cursed technique, other cursed techniques because of his cursed technique. So he's had time to catch up to Tengen. But Tengen, she only has immortality as a cursed technique, which is not a combative cursed technique. And she's not a combat type. She has mastery over cursed energy manipulation and barrier techniques, and she is, again, the unrivaled master of barrier techniques. Now, why didn't she become an enemy to all Jujutsu sorcery and the world itself, right? So when she evolved, she basically became the world itself. So she has a physical body. However, that physical body, it really can't move. It's really just like decaying. So she uses her consciousness inside of a barrier in order to communicate with other people. And she uses a barrier on her own mind to keep her consciousness locked in place so that she never loses her sense of self. Now, only Tengen realistically was able to do this. Anybody else who would try this would probably fail immediately and then lose their sense of self. And then from there on, it's just all bets are off. And I'm saying all bets are off because at the end of the day, she could have made a barrier that traps all humans inside of Japan and releases all cursed spirits, releases all types of cursed energy. She could have made a barrier that amplifies all the cursed energy in everybody's body to the point where they can't control it, especially to non-sorcerers who really can't control it, to occur more cursed energy, to amass so much cursed energy like Kenjaku needs for the Culling Games in order to do a mass merger of her and everybody else it could be insane, the capabilities that she can do if she were to turn on humanity. So honestly, she probably would have been taken out pretty quickly if they were even able to get to her, because of the type of barrier techniques that she knows. She's able to hide and defend herself pretty well. So I keep discussing all the barrier techniques that she knows, but I haven't mentioned exactly what type of barrier techniques they are, and I haven't mentioned what do they do. So let's get into the 4 types of barrier techniques that Master Tengen knows and why they're so powerful. So our first entry for her barrier techniques is kind of a two-parter, because it's the same thing for entry 1 and 2. It's just one's a rundown version, the other one's a very powerful version. So the first version is going to be the concealment barrier that is on the schools. So these concealment barriers hide all jujitsu schools from the public eye. So nobody knows where they are. They are just a concealment barrier, so they don't defend the school from attacks if like a missile was coming at the school. But they have a Satoru Gojo for that. But anyways, if you know the entry point of these concealment barriers, it's not really hard to get into them. So you don't really have to do anything special. That's how Toji was able to actually get into the school. But moving on to the next type of concealment barrier is the concealment barrier she uses in the Tombs of the Star corridor, because those are viciously more powerful. So the second concealment barrier uses 1,000 shuffling doors to conceal the entry point to the Tombs of the Star corridor. So you're never going to be able to get in unless you have something like Chozo's ability to allow you to track which door is the correct door. But if you don't have an ability like that and you don't know preemptively which door it is, you got basically no shot of entering this barrier. You're pretty much never going to find it, and that's how she's able to conceal herself so well. Now people like Kenjaku, people like Chozo, or people like Gojo or Geto, who were told previously where the barrier is, those people can pretty much find it, right? Chozo is a little bit different, but those people can pretty much find it. So it's not that difficult for them. But I will say this, if you do find the entry point to the concealment barrier, good luck with the next barrier, because that is a empty barrier. So an empty barrier looks just like how season 2 episode 3 looks, where it's just a white room where hexagonal panels can appear from this empty barrier, and these panels allow the user of the barrier, or actually anybody who has mastery over barrier techniques, to use the hexagonal panels to show anything they want. They can make a movie theater, they can make a bowling alley, they can make anything they want realistically. And we saw Master Tengen manipulate these panels to show the sorcerers of Jujutsu High how Kenjaku's plan actually works, in order for them to get a game plan on how to stop it. And the final and fourth and most powerful barrier they actually ever came to existence as is the pure barrier. Now this is the barrier that the Culling Games is sitting on. This is the barrier that goes all over Japan, right? And it covers 4 areas specifically in Japan. It covers the Imperial Palace, the Tombs of the Star Corridor, the Yamokini Mausoleum, and Mount Hida. Now, if Master Tengen dispelled these pure barriers, then she would be able to end the Culling Games. But as we previously mentioned, these pure barriers are the things that trap cursed energy and cursed spirits inside of Japan. Now, if these pure barriers were to go away, then all of the world would have cursed energy and cursed spirits, which would be incredibly difficult to combat against, because there's not enough Jujutsu sorcerers to stop all that. So cursed spirits would ultimately run the world at this point, until Modulo, where Yuji is pretty much able to clean up anything. So just to recap, Master Tengen is the person who has taught Jujutsu sorcery to everybody in the modern era, and those people teach it down to their students, and so on and so forth. She's also the person who keeps all the cursed energy and all the cursed spirits in Japan, so that there is not a mass amount of cursed spirits roaming the world, basically ending it. It's like that one movie where the dragons came back, and it was like a live action. Dragons came back, took over the world, all that stuff, right? It was like 30 days or something that they took out like all of humanity. It was insane. But that is basically what Tengen does for society. Kenjaku basically wants to merge her with all of Japan, because he just is curious on what that would look like, and also it would basically cause a evolution of cursed energy for humanity, because not as Tengen has evolved, or at least a version of evolution that Kenjaku would find interesting. He wants all of humanity to evolve using cursed energy. And how do you do that? Well, you use a person who has already evolved, you merge them with all of humanity, and now at least all the citizens of Japan, and now those people have evolved using cursed energy through Tengen as a medium. It's chaotic. It's honestly idiotic when you think about it, because nobody's going to have a sense of self. They're just going to be merged into Tengen, effectively dying, and just turn into one giant beast probably. Tengen's agenda is really just protecting her own survival and protecting the survival of Japan, because she finds herself so important, which she is. If she protects herself, that's why she needs 2 special grades to protect her, then she can continue to keep all the cursed spirits and all cursed energy trapped in Japan. And honestly, you're going to see in season 4 that Yuki and Tengen go back and forth and have a very philosophical debate on what Tengen's purpose is. So you'll be able to see more of that. But that's everything you need to know about Master Tengen up to season 3. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. You can email me. I hope you guys liked the video. Do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.